Hello, I'm Joshua Habersky, Deputy Executive Director of the Premium Cigar Association. One of the most frequently asked questions we get here at PCA is, what can I do? What can I do to help? Each week, there are new proposed rules and regulations that threaten our industry. Before each of these become federal law, the FDA has a commenting period where they want to hear from you. Yes, you. You don't want to be intimidated by this process. Submitting a comment to the FDA is easier than you may think. This is your opportunity to get involved in the policy-making process. I'm going to walk you through the process and let you know what you can do. And at the end of this video, I'll give you some tips on making your comment impactful. Public comments can be submitted online, which is the easiest and quickest way to make sure the FDA hears from you and hears your say. Once you reach this page, you'll see that there are two ways to submit a comment. You can either type it in or attach a file. If you type a comment, know that there is a 5,000 character limit. You also have the option of attaching a file. This site will accept numerous file types, including Word documents, JPEGs, PDFs, and other options. When submitting a comment, you will also want to pay attention to the question, what is your comment about? This provides the government with some information on who is commenting. For our industry in particular, this can help show the government that many different businesses, individuals that make up the premium cigar and pipe tobacco industry can choose. So you want to choose what best describes you and showcase your part of the industry in that drop-down menu. You can choose to submit your email address. This is not a requirement, but if you want a confirmation that your comment was successfully submitted and want to track your comment, then you will want to complete this field. At the bottom, you will also be asked to identify yourself as either an individual making a comment or as an organization. You can also choose to remain anonymous, but this is a required question, so you make sure to respond before submitting your comment. And you might want to submit one on behalf of your shop and also another comment as an individual. Again, we want to make sure that we get as much activity as possible. Now, you may be wondering what exactly goes into making a comment on proposed federal regulations. Comments come in many shapes and forms. They can be as long or short or as simple as or complex as you see fit. The information you include in your comment should be what is most relevant and most important to you. Remember, this is your comment and you should be personal, and whatever you feel is going to be helpful to the FDA as it moves forward with its policy and rulemaking. So, for example, if you are a shop owner submitting a comment about the number of employees, your location, community attributions, things like that, helpful background information is also always a good, useful best practice. If needed, you can also submit more than one comment. Perhaps you didn't get to say everything you wanted to within a 5,000 character limit. You can submit an additional comment to make sure the FDA hears everything that you have to say. You can also submit a comment as a group or organization. Maybe you as a retailer with very opinionated customers. This is a great way to get everyone in your store, from employees to your customers, involved in the advocacy process. We've seen some of our members host small events where people actually go down at a computer, take some of the talking points that we put together, and make specific comments that are personally relevant to them. Please keep in mind that comments are more about substance than length. The FDA is going to be looking at what you have to say and how it contributes to the proposed regulations at hand. They are not going to give you bonus points for submitting the longest comment. So something with brevity, that has personal information, that's unique. The other thing that it's a little bit different from our legislative grassroots action alerts are you don't want to have form messages. The FDA is looking at this, and other regulators are looking to make sure that the submissions are unique. You don't say the same thing. So you might want to utilize our talking points, but having your own individual spin, substance, and style is important. To give your comment an extra edge that it needs to be super effective, here are some additional tips. Include scientific evidence and data when possible. Remember that you're speaking to the FDA. This is the type of information that they look for and base their decisions on. Again, PCA can be another resource to you if you're looking for additional data or tips. For any of our public comments, we draft talking points, knowing some of these helpful tips and tricks in mind. Localized data is of the utmost importance. The FDA may have access to broad studies and information, but providing them with data that is specific to your business, your city, and your community is going to be very important, because this information that the FDA may not have access to. If your city and state has implemented a similar policy, tell the FDA how the policy impacted your business, your employees, and your life. This will help them in determining how a federal policy could impact the entire industry, as well as your own business. Be sure to mention how the FDA could make these regulations better, or what you or your organization has learned along the way. Give the FDA a little context of the information you are submitting, what you're presenting them, and why it is important to the situation at hand. Help them understand what you're submitting and why it's important for the regulation in the consideration of the regulation. Include this data and information with your comment as an attachment. So those are definitely some helpful tips and tricks when submitting the comment. On screen, there's an example of the submission page. A lot of these are housed on regulations.gov, and you can actually go, once your comment has submitted, give it a couple hours, and you will be able to view the comment publicly and see some of the others that have been submitted. We're broadcasting this now because it's germane to all of our members, as we have an active comment. Usually you have 60, 90, sometimes 180 days. So it's always good measure within the first 2 or 3 weeks. Take some time, read some of the other comments, look at the talking points that we provide before going ahead and drafting yours. PCA as an organization, we submit a comment as well on behalf of the industry, on behalf of our members, and that will always be a little bit different from grassroots submissions from people and businesses like yours. Thank you very much. If you have any questions about PCA's public comment process and tips and tricks for submitting a comment to the Food and Drug Administration, feel free to reach out to our staff. I will be our primary point of contact. My email address is joshua@premiumcigars.org, and I'm happy to have a conversation or send sample your way as you prepare to submit a comment to FDA.